I'd just moved to the outskirts of a UK city. New place, new flat, and a safe, predictable routine. My days were simple. Catch the bus home after work or sometimes grab coffee with friends on the weekend. Everything felt normal, like everybody was busy living their own lives. But every night there was one thing I couldn't shake: the silence of the streets. The alley near my building was so quiet, my own footsteps felt louder than usual. The dim glow of the street lamps stretched across the empty road, and the still air felt heavy, like it carried some hidden weight. Sometimes it felt like someone was there, unseen but making sure I noticed. That vibe disturbed me every single time. I was a regular working professional. My days were laptop screens, endless meetings, then coming home to zone out with some TV. That was my cycle. Outwardly, I looked organized, but there was one flaw that sometimes made me reckless. I loved shortcuts. Whether it was a bus route, a walking path, or some unfamiliar back road, if it saved time, I'd try it. That habit is exactly what dragged me down the wrong path. The people around my block seemed ordinary. There was a middle-aged woman who walked her brown Labrador every morning at the same time, so punctual I could set my watch to her. There was an old man always leaning out his window. Sometimes he just looked bored. Sometimes it felt like he was watching. And downstairs, a college kid lived off takeout. Loud lifestyle, but harmless. Everyone seemed lost in their own little worlds. But in that dead quiet alley, even their presence felt kind of hollow. Usually, I stuck to the main road. It took a few extra minutes, but the streetlights were bright, late-night buses passed by, and I'd see a random walker or two. But that night, an office social ran late. By the time it wrapped up, it was almost 11 and I was mentally wiped, just craving my bed. Google Maps popped up a different route, a narrow alley straight to my block, saving 10 minutes. I hesitated, then my shortcut obsession kicked in. Just this once. Nothing will happen. The second I stepped into the alley, the vibe shifted. The lamps were spaced too far apart, their dim glow breaking up the darkness in uneven patches. Every corner was just shadows. Somewhere far off, a dog barked nonstop, like it sensed something. Then the branches above rustled in the wind. My eyes locked on a figure at the far end of the alley, perfectly still. The moment I stepped closer into the light, it vanished. Inside the alley, the first weird thing I noticed was how long it felt. According to the map, it should have been short, but walking through it felt endless. I kept adjusting my pace and, without meaning to, glancing back like someone was tailing me. Every time I looked, there was nothing but empty darkness, yet the feeling of being followed only grew stronger. Then I heard a sharp metallic rattle, like an iron chain dragging on the ground. I spun around and froze. In the darkness stood a man-shaped figure holding a bag. He didn't move, just stood there. My heart pounded. I blinked, and he was gone. Right then, my phone screen lit up with an incoming call from an unknown number. My hands shook as I answered. Nothing on the other end, just dead silence. And under that silence, a heavy breathing. The next morning, my head was still stuck on last night. I couldn't resist opening my phone and zooming in on the map. Under the alley's name was a small note. Closed for years. My hands went cold. How was that possible? I'd clearly walked through it last night. I dug deeper into local news and forums. That's when I found something disturbing. Years ago, a woman was brutally murdered in that exact alley. According to the reports, her screams woke the whole block. Since then, the passage was permanently shut. People online said at night, you could still hear footsteps and whispers there. Locals even had a name for it, Bad Luck Lane. Nobody dared go near it. Reading that on my screen, one question pounded in my head. If the alley's been closed for years, how did I walk through it last night? The next afternoon, curiosity dragged me back. I figured daylight would make everything normal. Maybe last night was just my brain playing tricks. At first glance, the alley looked ordinary. Old cracked walls on both sides, torn posters fluttering in the breeze, cigarette but scattered on the ground. I stepped a little further, and then my eyes caught it. Fresh graffiti right in the middle of the wall, sprayed bright red. I'm behind you. My feet turned to ice. Last night, that graffiti wasn't there. That meant someone painted it overnight. Or maybe it was meant specifically for me. My neck wanted to turn, but a gut-deep instinct screamed not to. I pulled out my phone, deleted that route from my maps forever, and silently promised myself I'd never step into that alley again. A few days later, I changed my routine. I only used the safe, crowded streets. One night, I was walking down an alternate road. The street lamps were a little brighter, and I told myself everything was back to normal. But as the night got quieter, a strange familiarity crept in. Alongside my footsteps came another set. Slow, but perfectly synced with mine. When I sped up, they sped up. When I slowed down, they slowed down. Like an invisible shadow was pacing me. My neck ached to look back, but some weird paralysis said it wasn't safe. I pulled out my earbuds to check it wasn't my imagination. In the silence, only two things remained: my breathing and those footsteps. That's when it hit me. The problem wasn't the alley. Maybe whatever it was had followed me out. And I just kept walking, never looking back. Elm Street was just a regular suburban neighborhood. Nothing too fancy, nothing too old. Narrow sidewalks, small front yards, and streetlights every other pole. Around this hour at night, people were usually winding down, someone parking their car, someone flipping on their porch light. It was all so normal that I never really thought about being scared. Coming back from work, I had my own routine. Throw in my earphones, play the same playlist, and walk home on autopilot. But there was one thing about Elm Street that always felt off: the silence. Sometimes it got so deep, it felt like the air had stopped moving. No laughs, no cars passing, not even a dog bark. And in that silence, it always felt like something was hiding, just watching. I was just an ordinary young woman, 9-to-5 job, predictable walk home every night at the same time. Honestly, I moved through life on autopilot. But I had one flaw: I overthought everything. If a shadow shifted out of the corner of my eye, my brain instantly imagined the worst. My friends always laughed, saying, "You turn your life into a horror movie for no reason." They could laugh, but for me, that paranoia was real. The neighbors on Elm Street were normal too. An old couple sat on their porch watching cars. A little dog that overreacted to every stranger. A retired mailman who loved to start unnecessary conversations. They all made the street feel familiar, even safe. But sometimes, the air on that block felt so heavy, like there was some hidden story behind it all, something I wasn't supposed to see. My walk was always the same. Leave the office, take the same turn, cut across the corner of Elm Street, and head straight home. I knew every crack in the sidewalk, every uneven slab, every flickering streetlight. With my playlist blasting, the whole world just faded into background noise. That night felt no different, until I hit the curve. One of the streetlights started flickering. At first I brushed it off, but when it blinked again, I instinctively looked over my shoulder. The sidewalk was empty. I slowed down a little, trying to act casual, and then I heard it. A soft tap, tap, right behind me. At first I thought it was just the beat of the song. I turned the volume down, and that's when it got clear: footsteps. Real, steady footsteps. And the creepiest part? They matched my pace exactly. If I sped up, they sped up. If I slowed, they slowed. It felt like an invisible shadow was walking right with me. I pushed my pace faster, kind of testing it. But sure enough, the footsteps quickened too. I slowed way down, so did they. That's when my stomach dropped. I stopped completely, dead still, and instantly, the footsteps stopped too. I stood frozen, holding my breath. From the corner of the street, where a dark alley cut across, I swore I saw a shadow dart out of sight. My heart was thumping so loud it echoed inside my chest. I pulled out my phone, turned on the flashlight, and aimed it at the alley. The bright beam sliced through the dark, but it only lit up empty walls and broken shadows. No person, no animal, nothing. And then, out of nowhere, a faint whisper brushed my ear. So close, like someone was standing right behind me. "Don't go yet, wait." I spun around in a panic. Nothing, just cold air against my skin. The next morning, I couldn't shake it. My brain kept circling back. Was it just in my head, or was someone really there? So I asked a neighbor who had a security cam pointing toward the corner. He pulled up a few recordings for me. At first it was all normal. Cars, a jogger, some random noise. But right around the time I walked past last night, the footage showed something. At the entrance of that alley, a blurry figure flickered across the frame. Not clear, just this distorted shadow moving exactly where I thought I saw it. Later that day, another neighbor mentioned something casually. Years ago, a man used to follow women on this block. Police got reports, but he was never caught. My stomach sank. A friend showed me a local online forum, and one post hit me like a brick. Beware Elm Street. The Night Stalker's shadow still follows people. You don't see him clear, you just feel him, always right behind you. After that, I made a decision. If the footsteps came again, I wouldn't run. I'd face it. I needed to know if it was all in my head. A few nights later, after another late shift, I walked home down Elm Street again. The air felt colder, heavier. And then, there it was. That familiar tap, tap, behind me. My body froze for a second, but this time, I forced myself to turn fast. Nothing. The street was completely empty. Just the flickering light above and the cracked sidewalk below. Relief washed over me, until curiosity got the better of me. I lifted my phone, turned on the back camera, and started recording as I walked. On screen, for a split second, a face surfaced from the darkness right behind me. Blurry, distorted, but definitely human. Eyes hollow, staring straight at me. My hands went numb. I panicked, hit delete instantly, and shoved the phone back in my pocket. The next morning, as I stepped out of my front door, I froze. Right there on my doorstep were footprints in the dirt. Not random ones. They matched my exact stride from the night before, step for step, like someone had traced me all the way home. A chill ripped through me. I tried to rub them away, but the more I wiped, the clearer they seemed to get, like they were burned into the ground. From that day on, I swore I'd never walk down Elm Street again. I switched routes, even if it meant extra time. But avoiding the street didn't end it. Because sometimes, late at night, lying in bed, I still hear it outside my window. That same steady tap, tap, pacing underneath the glass. Slow, measured, exactly how it used to follow me. I don't look. I don't move. I just lie there, listening. Because whatever it is, it's still here.